Hi, I'm Kristen Oakes-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
Well, political season is in full swing here in Louisiana, with the top state offices up for grabs in a runoff election.
Now, at the time we're shooting this show, we're still 3 days away from voters going to the polls. The top ticket on the ballot is the race for governor between Democrat John Bel Edwards and Republican David Vitter. In the October 24th primary, Edwards finished in first place with 40% of the votes, and Vitter came in second with 23%. In that election, only 38.5% of Louisiana's registered voters made it to the polls. Louisiana Farm Bureau legislative specialist Joe Mapes says right now the race is a toss-up, that there is no clear favorite, and that voter turnout will likely be the key to victory for either candidate.
We're going to have great weather this weekend, so everybody that needs to vote will be able to get out and vote. It's always been about gubernatorial candidates getting into the runoff so that they could use their political infrastructure to turn out the vote. So the question is, who's going to be able to do a better job of that, getting their voters to come out and go to the polls Saturday?
Aside from the gubernatorial race, there is also a runoff in the race for lieutenant governor, with Baton Rouge Mayor President Kip Holden, the Democrat, facing off against former Plaquemines Parish President Billy Nungesser, the Republican. Voters will also decide, Kristen, between incumbent Attorney General Buddy Caldwell and challenger Jeff Landry. Both are Republicans in that race. I think overall this is going to be an interesting weekend. Obviously, this show is just starting to air the day of the election.
Yes.
However, you know, it's one of those cases where we have to at least address the story, because this affects all of our farmers and ranchers across Louisiana.
And I will say one thing, I don't live in Louisiana anymore. I live in Natchez technically, so I haven't seen all of the political commercials. But so I hear you guys will be glad when the season is over.
I think you see it all on Facebook, Kristen.
I do. I see a lot of it.
Well, kicking off convention season here in Louisiana next year is one of the nation's top agricultural events.
The Commodity Classic will be in New Orleans in 2016. It's the event touted as the place where America's farmers meet with success. This year's Commodity Classic will be held from March 3rd through the 5th at the Ernst N. Morial Convention Center. Registration is underway right now, and there are even special tours you can take outside of the convention to Domino Sugar and the Zeno Grain Elevator. To register, you'll find a link on our website at twilatv.org. While learning to be successful in agriculture is a goal of many farm women across Louisiana.
That's why Annie's Project teamed up with Acadiana Resource Conservation and Development Council to host the 2015 Women in Agriculture Conference. This year, the event was in Bunkie, Louisiana, at Louisiana School for the Agricultural Sciences. Members of the school's FFA worked as moderators to introduce presenters like Katie Sistrunk from the Louisiana Farm Bureau Women's Leadership Committee. Sistrunk took the time to tell these ladies about all the ways Farm Bureau can help them, from the Young Farmers and Ranchers program to the benefits of just being a member. Organizer Angie Fogelman says this event is an excellent networking opportunity for women in agriculture.
The main point for them to take back home is the available programs that we have, because I know some of them are unsure of what programs are available to them, and I want them to be able to learn to understand what programs are out there and how we can help. There's a mentoring that's out there, and it's just a place that they can come and find out where to go to find these places.
The Women in Agriculture Conference is an annual event. To learn more about Annie's Project, Farm Bureau, or Acadiana RC&D, you can go to our website at twilatv.org. Turning now to a fact most of you already know. Kristen, Louisiana is a unique place to live.
It is. And now there's a book telling you all about what makes our state unique. Author Sam Irwin has a new book out called It Happens in Louisiana: Peculiar Tales, Traditions, and Recipes from the Bayou. In the book, Irwin takes us to places like Mamou, where every Mardi Gras, riders on horseback beg for ingredients to make a gumbo, and New Orleans, where a drink is named for a natural disaster.
The book is available now. To learn more, just visit our website at twilatv.org.
Well, now it's time to see what's trending online in our Trending on TWILA segment. We go online to see what you guys are talking about on social media.
The Paris attacks are the top trending topic on social media this week. From tweets and Facebook posts with photos and the hashtag #PrayForParis, Americans and Louisianians took to social media to show their support for the country and the families of the victims.
After the attacks, our Facebook newsfeed turned blue, white, and red as people changed their profile pictures to support France and the people of Paris.
As we told you earlier in the show, the Louisiana gubernatorial runoff election is upon us, and folks have been posting their opinions, various news articles, and showing support for each of the candidates across Facebook and Twitter.
The two candidates, John Bell Edwards and David Vitter, have ramped up their campaigns on social media, posting photos, videos, and taking jabs at the other candidate, all in a last-minute push to gain votes.
Another topic that's trending: Thanksgiving. With Thanksgiving less than a week away, many of you are celebrating early on social media by posting what you are thankful for and even showing photos of Thanksgiving meals with you, your children, and grandchildren.
Social media sites like Facebook and Pinterest have also changed the way we prepare our meals on Thanksgiving Day. From how to thaw, cook, and carve a turkey to side dish, dessert, and leftover recipe ideas, Pinterest is now the online go-to for holidays. In fact, the site contains more than 1.8 billion recipes.
Even more now, because we even created a Thanksgiving recipe board on our Pinterest site to help you plan your Turkey Day menu. To find a link, just visit our website at twilatv.org. And before we go, I wanted to share this photo posted Wednesday morning by Assumption Parish sugarcane farmer Gene Adolph. It seems like all we've been sharing from him are pictures of him harvesting in the mud and rain, but that's because over the past month, his farm has seen nearly 2 feet of rain. Adolph posted this latest storm dumped 3 inches of rain on his farm. Kristen, that was just overnight. So you can just about imagine how muddy and messy that field has to be.
It was terrible. I think it dumped that much rain all across the state of Louisiana yesterday.
Yeah, lots of folks are having problems.
Well, if you're online and you see something like that that's trending in agriculture, just tweet us or tag us with the hashtag #TrendingOnTWILA, or you can always send us an email at twilatv.org.
Well, still to come on TWILA, we go to Palm Bro to feast on agriculture at a landmark made for friends.
But first, it was once called Peasant Food, but Taylor Fry shows us why this dish is one we should be thankful for. The Ag Minute is next. Some of the most popular dishes that come from Creole French kitchens in New Orleans are what would have been described in earlier times as peasant food.
Yeah, the original goal of a lot of dishes we eat today, such as gumbo and jambalaya, was to stretch a small quantity of one expensive ingredient like pork, shrimp, and beef to make a meal for the whole family. Joining us now is TWILA's Taylor Fry. And Taylor, this week's Ag Minute is the last one you're doing before Thanksgiving. I hope it's a good dish.
Me too, and I love peasant food. I don't know about y'all.
I know, it's so rich, it's really good.
It is, and I bet a lot of people here in Louisiana are planning to cook plenty of peasant recipes this Thanksgiving, maybe even that one popular Thanksgiving dish called Merleton casserole.
They're green, they're bumpy, and they're shaped like pears. Globally, they're known by many different names, but here in South Louisiana, we call them merletons. The fruit's most popular name is a chayote and is a native plant to Mexico. It's believed the chayote landed at the port of New Orleans in the mid-1700s when the Spanish began exporting them all around the world. Records show that it was cultivated in New Orleans as early as 1867. Since New Orleans is a port city, it picked up many Spanish cultural influences. However, the cuisine and agriculture remained predominantly French, hence the name changed from chayote to merleton. Up until a few decades ago, it was not rare to see many homes in New Orleans and South Louisiana with backyard merleton vines. But in recent years, people stopped growing them. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina brought floodwaters to New Orleans that destroyed much of the traditional Louisiana merleton variety. But recipes like shrimp and merleton casseroles still live strong in South Louisiana and is a must-have at this year's Thanksgiving dinner.
The merleton means so much to New Orleans, there's even a festival for it. The fruit and its history are celebrated every year at the Bywater Merleton Festival in the Bywater neighborhood in New Orleans, the first Saturday of November. Now moving on to this week's TWILA Trivia. Last week's question was, which state recognizes the crawfish as its official crustacean? And the correct answer is C, Louisiana. This week's question is, how many seeds does a mirliton have? Is it A, 1, B, multiple, or C, none? To enter this week's TWILA Trivia contest, just log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TWILA Trivia, or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org. And Avery and Kristen, I don't know about y'all, but there's so much that I'm thankful for this Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's always my favorite time of the year. I'll go to into that a little bit later in the show. Thank you very much, Taylor Fry. Well, this edition of Feasting on Agriculture takes us to Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, the crawfish capital of the world.
There, AJ Sabine introduces us to Café des Amis, a flavorful must-stop where crawfish, culture, and cuisine converge from trap to table.
Feasting on Agriculture with AJ Sabine is brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, Louisiana Crawfish, Ask Before You Eat, by the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, Rice, a world of great ideas, and by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to Feasting on Agriculture. I am AJ Sabine. Well, this month, folks, we are in Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, the crawfish capital of the world. And what better place to have crawfish, great music, and great friends than Café des Amis. This month, we're going to have a great crawfish cheesecake featuring alligator sausage. Sausage! I'm so excited I can't even speak. Come with me, let's get some. All right, Joe, I'm very excited to hear about this recipe. It's a crawfish and alligator cheesecake.
Yes, sir.
Where do we start?
Start off by making our mix. Consists of Parmesan cheese, Japanese-style breadcrumbs.
Panko.
Sir.
I know a little bit about food.
I see that. You're almost the expert here. I think I should let you do it.
No, I wish I could, but I have arthritis, and that prevents me from actually cooking anything. But I'm good at eating part, because it's good to hold the fork that way.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been cooking, Joe?
I've been cooking for about 2 years now.
And how do you like it?
I love it. I love it. I don't even consider it a job. When you do things that you love, it's just fun. It's not work.
Joining us now is Café des Amis General Manager, Megan Healy. And Megan, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Look, it's a beautiful restaurant. We love coming here. In fact, we've learned so much about Joe and your staff. Tell folks a little bit about the history of Café des Amis and why people come here year in and year out, day in, day out.
The history of Café des Amis, we started in 1992. It started off as just a small coffee shop. We had art on the walls. We moved into food slowly throughout the years as the demand for food grew. And then, of course, we started into our Zydeco breakfast, which happens every Saturday morning. It's a party in the morning. We have Bloody Marys, mimosas, you know, all the works. And people come here for the music and the local cuisine and just to feel like, you know, get that southern feeling and that homey feeling. And that's what we try and give to people.
Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, Joe has incorporated an egg, cream cheese, red and green bell peppers, heavy cream, as well as local crawfish and alligator. Next, the mixture is ready for the oven.
So you've added the crawfish.
So we added our crawfish and our alligator sausage amongst our other mix with the bell peppers and our heavy whipping cream. As the alligator is nice and juicy, and then of course you have your crawfish, and with the seasoning in there, it's just like a dance in your mouth.
Right. Kind of like the Zydeco brunch?
Just like the Zydeco brunch.
Little two-step in your mouth?
That's it. And I guess I'm the Zydeco band.
Dude, I wish I could Zydeco. I have 2 left feet.
I know the feeling.
One of them is in a cast, so that's not a good.
I'm not quite that bad, but I'm close to you.
Joe fills each mold to the top. Then it's oven time.
There we go. Teamwork at its finest.
All right, where you want it?
Anywhere.
Tell me where, lengthwise or horizontal-wise or what?
We'll get it like this. At the top, make sure it'll cook nice and well.
Okay.
And in an hour, we'll have a very good finished product.
1 hour.
I'll tell you how it tastes when we return.
unique things about Cafe des Amis among the fine art in the Zydeco brunch is famous folks or influential folks get to leave their signature here. And so in that tradition, I'm gonna sign AJ and Feasting on Agriculture and TWILA wish you bon appetit. Great. And we're going to do November 2015. How about that, huh?
Hey, AJ, you gonna come over here and eat this?
What? I'm being summoned. What's that, Joe? Is it time to eat?
Bon appetit.
You've got perfect timing. Look at that. Look at this, folks. Thank you, Joe. Come here. Look at what Joe made. Isn't that beautiful? So that now that TWILA team and Feasting on Agriculture have now become part of the flora and fauna of Cafe des Amis, on behalf of all of us, I want to thank you, Megan, and the rest of the crew here at Cafe des Amis. I cannot wait to taste this.
Hope it tastes as good as it looks.
I hope so. Let's do it. Oh, Joe, ça c'est bon.
Thank you.
So good. Fresh alligator sausage, fresh Louisiana crawfish, cardinal sauce, a triumph. Thank you so much. I know you guys are going to get back to it. I got to get back to this. If you folks at home want more information about Louisiana crawfish, you can always log on to our website at twilatv.org. On behalf of the TWILA team, Joe, Megan, everyone here at Cafe des Amis, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Feasting on Agriculture with A.J. Sabine was brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board. Louisiana Crawfish, ask before you eat. By the Louisiana Rice Promotion Board, Rice, a world of great ideas. And by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council, beef, it's what's for dinner.
When Louisiana soybean farmers are looking for seeds they know will produce on their farm, they turn to the company which puts test plots in their backyards. I'm talking about Asgrow, and this week we'll show you why Asgrow soybeans work so well in the Bayou State.
St. Landry Parish soybean farmer Charles Canatella welcomes visits from Asgrow distinguished scientist Fran DeVille because he knows it will make his crop better.
We try to help them when they come around. I actually use a small piece of property to put a test plot on. And there's so many varieties out there that you really have to look at them at your location. Down south we get so much rain. A soybean that works in the northern part of the state may not work down here south. It may have too much disease or something. So, they'll bring out quite a few dozen different varieties, and we'll plant them and look at them. Some work out, some don't. And that's part of the game, trying to pick out the best one that also, has a good disease package, but also yields too.
Grower participation and acceptance of us is I can't put a price and a value on it. It's so high because it's paramount to what we do.
The reason is the diversity of soil types in the state.
Because in Louisiana, we have about 5 major soybean growing soil types that I call it. And so we make sure that we put those varieties in those soil zones so that we know that when a grower says, hey, can I plant this on a Macon Ridge? And will it do well as compared to planting it in the clay over around St. Joe? We have that answer. We have a lot of testing going on in the state in order that when we come to growers in Louisiana, we have a lot of confidence that they fit our environment, they fit our soil types, and the way growers form. And because that's the most important decision a grower makes is what seed he chooses. And so we want to give him all the information, to make the right choice. Because in my job as an agronomist, I want to make sure it's the best recommendation for him, because the only call I want to get at the end of the day is it was a good decision to plant that variety.
To learn more about how Asgrow products can help you on your farm, visit our website at twilatv.org. For us here in Louisiana, the grain harvest is long over and in the bin. Even across most of the U.S., most of it is harvested. Joining us now is TWILA's Neil Melanson with this week's Bottom Line. And Neil, according to the USDA, this grain crop just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Like the Energizer Bunny, keeps going and going and going. That's absolutely right. The most recent supply and demand report the USDA came up with an even bigger crop crop than the already huge one they predicted in October. As you can see, corn estimates were higher than last month and the average trade estimates for yield, production, and most especially carryout. The trade just keeps thinking that the corn crop can't possibly be this big and has continually tried to push that number downwards. The USDA, though, doubled down with this report and is seeing bigger corn numbers coming. For beans, it's much the same thing: higher yield, higher production, and higher carryout, although not quite as dramatic as for corn. The good news with beans is that we're seeing a bump in exports, and we'll have more on that in just a second here. The world carryout situation is also interesting because while we did see the requisite jump in corn stocks, it was reduced for soybeans. Again, that has a lot to do with the export situation, which is different for both commodities, radically different in fact. The bottom line is we do have the crop in the bin, and now we need to look at what's going on in South America and what they're producing, as well as what China is going to take. With South America, we can only look at weather, which has been favorable to a monster harvest thus far down there. We're still 5 months or so from a harvest there, though, so a lot could change. With China, it's more clear. They've cut their feed usage for corn by about 10%, which is lending itself to cuts in corn imports and thus stockpiling, as we saw on the world market. Soybeans, though, are seeing an increased demand into China, which is expected to continue into 2016. And Avery, you know, what's bad for these commodities is good for us consumers as well as livestock producers. Livestock producers, of course, getting a big break on that corn, you know, that feed, and that looks likely to continue, especially as we're on this cusp of that big livestock expansion, you know. And hopefully, you know, a lot of these grain reduction prices we'll start to see at the grocery store maybe mitigate some of those higher prices that we've seen.
Yeah, you mentioned about the expansion in beef cattle. Do you think that these lower grain prices will help bring on more people retaining cattle?
It has, and I think we've seen that thus far. You know, we saw that big jump down from, you know, 2013, 2014 into this year, that not jump, but downward trend. And not coincidentally, I think we've seen an expansion into livestock, you know, herd. They were already planning to do some of that anyway, just because we had gotten so low, but now prices have started to drop in the livestock area, and with corn prices going even further, that means, you know, it's more economical for livestock producers to retain cattle for breeding.
And with fuel prices low, that's good for all of our farmers out there.
For all of us.
Thank you very much, Neil Melanson. Well, before we go, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about Thanksgiving. I may be the only person you'll ever meet who will say this, but Thanksgiving is truly my favorite holiday. There's no expectation of gifts. There's no big marketing push. It's just a day in which families and friends come together, share food, fellowship, and give thanks for all the good in our lives. I would argue that it's also the holiday which best highlights our farmers. This year, according to the American Farm Bureau Federation, if you're buying Thanksgiving dinner for a gathering of 10, it'll cost you $50.11. That's about 2% more than last year. According to a study conducted in 2012, only 16 cents of every dollar you spend on food goes to the farmer. So when you sit down at the table this Thanksgiving, I want you to look beyond the rice dressing, the turkey, and the candied yams. I want you to see the farmer who spent all year tending to that rice crop, raising those turkeys, and worrying whether or not his sweet potatoes are going to rot in the field with all of this rain. Would you do that for just $8.02? Because that's all the farmer is getting from your Thanksgiving meal. So with that, I ask, when you say grace, ask God to bless the farmer, the rancher, the poultry grower who made that meal possible, not just today, but every day, because they also make it possible for you to live the life you want to without wondering if you'll have another meal, but just how good it will be. That's something for which we should all be thankful. Well, we're going to be thankful and take the week of Thanksgiving off here at TWILA. So if you see this show again starting to air the weekend of November 28th, that's why. We hope you take the time to enjoy and appreciate your family and friends as well. For all of us here at TWILA, happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you again right here next week.
Farming is my way of life. I chose this career, but farming chose me.
A lot of people ask you what you do, and I tell them I'm a farmer.
I'm a cattleman.
I am a fisherman.
I'm a scientist.
I'm a steward of the land.
I am a farm woman.
I am Farm Bureau.
I am Farm Bureau.
I am Farm Bureau.
I am Farm Bureau.
I am a Farm Bureau.